Hi, folks. My name's Angus, and I'm from Green Man Natural Health. I'm an herbalist, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about Chinese kitchen herbalism for colds and flu. So let's get started here. My primary thing for Chinese kitchen herbalism is that I want everything to be easily available. This is stuff that I know that you can find on Long Island. It either grows wild or it can be garden grown, or you can find it in a grocery store. Most of the stuff today you can find in a grocery store. Everything is safe to use within the dosage range that I'm recommending. All herbs that I'm talking about are food grade. They are senior and kid friendly in low dosages, and most of them are safe with pregnancy. The other thing is that I want everything to taste good. If medicine doesn't taste good, people aren't going to take it. So let's just jump in with both feet here and talk about common cold and flu in traditional Chinese medicine. Um, Basically, we have two different kinds of presentations that we see. One of them is called wind cold, and the other one is called wind heat. Um, Wind refers to external pathogenic agents, primarily viruses. And the heat and cold types have different symptoms, they have different treatment strategies, and they use different herbs. Regardless of whether it's cold or heat that you're afflicted with, there can be various complications, such as dryness, dampness, and phlegm, and we're going to address all of those today. The first thing I want to talk about is wind cold. Um, Symptoms of wind cold: you have more chills and fever, body pain and headache, especially neck and shoulder pain are really, really common. The signs that you'll see: the tongue will be pale, pulse is not going to be extraordinarily rapid or anything like that, like it is when you have a fever, and any nasal discharge or sputum is going to be either clear or white. So what we want to do is we want to expel the cold with warm or hot pungent herbs. And to do that, we're going to use fresh ginger and scallion decoction. It releases exterior wind cold, where you have chills, head, neck, and body ache, stuffy nose and cough, clear white discharge and phlegm, and a pink tongue with a white coat. So what you're going to do is, this is very simple. You take fresh ginger and the whites of some scallions and you dice them up nicely, about 3 grams of each, which is probably, I'll probably use a heaping teaspoon of each. And then you bring to a boil either 2 cups of water or stock or some kind of soup or something. And then you toss in the ginger and scallions and let them simmer for a couple of minutes, and you can consume that hot. You can also just use it as a garnish. Take your favorite, some chicken soup, and you chop up some ginger, and you throw in some scallion whites, and you just pour the soup over the top of it. If you're really feeling crummy and you don't actually want to make anything for yourself, I will just order, my favorite Chinese dish, which is home-style tofu, and I'll ask them to put some fresh ginger and scallions on it. Chinese restaurants are always going to have ginger and scallions, and you can basically add them to any dish that you like, and it will work. And if it works, you're going to get a sweat going, and then your headache and your chills and your body aches should disappear pretty quick. You do want to get a sweat going, so wrap yourself up in a blanket and have a nice hot cup of whatever with some fresh ginger and scallion, and hopefully that will make you feel better if you're getting the actual wind cold. For wind heat, your primary symptom, the real one that you're going to look for, is sore throat, burning sensation in the mouth and the nose and all the spaces in between, more fever than chills. Signs of heat also: a red tongue and a rapid pulse. Any nasal discharge or phlegm that is coming out is going to be yellow at this point, and very likely the coating on the tongue will also be yellow. Treatment principles are to expel heat with cool, cold, and pungent herbs. So what are they? Peppermint and chrysanthemum are really good choices here. You can also use eucalyptus. Peppermint and eucalyptus are a really common combination, as you well know. It releases exterior wind heat for sore throat, frontal headache, fever, cough, maybe yellow phlegm and nasal discharge, red tongue with maybe a yellow coat and a rapid pulse. For this particular one, an infusion, by the way, is just another way of saying making a cup of tea. Individual tea bags are about 1 gram. So you can take 2 or 3 bags of each of peppermint tea and chrysanthemum flower tea, and a little bit of honey, and you can take that up to 3 times a day. And then basically an infusion is really literally, you just take hot water and you pour it on the herbs, and you cover it so that you keep all the essential oils, trap them inside, and then when it's cool enough to drink, you shake the drops off the lid back into your tea so that you make sure that you get the full benefit. I use this very regularly when I'm having even just the slightest little sore throat, and it works really quite well. With common cold and flu, you can get a couple of associated things that comes along. Sometimes people get really dried out. Usually this comes along with heat, but sometimes it comes with cold. The heat consumes the body fluids, and you get dry nose, mouth, and throat, and then a dry cough as well. Dampness is another possibility that comes along. More often you get that with cold, and this is really that thin, watery nasal discharge, the clear, copious sputum. Once that thickens up, we start calling that phlegm. So once it's not so easy to get up and it's not so liquid, it just is a little bit denser and dried out a little more, that's what we call phlegm. So to moisten the lung and the stomach, and to help with that dry nose, throat, and mouth, and maybe with that dry cough, this is an old folk remedy. It's poached pears with honey. And normally this is done with an Asian pear, that's the recommended, but I find any of the pears will do. Even an apple does pretty well. You can use applesauce for this. You can even get yourself some pear nectar, in which case when you're using applesauce pear nectar, you don't have to cook it down. But if you start out with a pear, you wash it, take the core out, chop it up, and put it into the top of a double boiler with about 2 teaspoons of honey. You don't need any other liquid. And then you put some water in the bottom of the double boiler, and you get that simmering, and you simmer that down with a cover on it for half an hour, maybe 3/4 of an hour. And then it'll cook down basically to mush. You can have it just as is, but I put a little serving suggestion here that I rather like. You can serve it warm, a la mode, a little scoop of non-dairy ice cream. Me personally, I like vanilla. I'll take a bar of dark chocolate out of the freezer and shave some up with the old cheese grater, and then julienne some fresh mint leaves, which is a nice additional cooling sort of thing to go with it. Because as I said, the dryness generally comes with a little bit of heat. So for dampness and phlegm, we can use this one right here, this recipe, which is tangerine peel decoction. This is a very old recipe. It was first written down in 220 AD by Zhang Zhongjing in his prescriptions from the Golden Cabinet. And it descends stomach qi, but it also descends the lung qi as well. And it regulates the middle burner. So for nausea, vomiting, hiccup, coughing, especially with copious mucus. You can use either dried or fresh tangerine peel. You can also use orange peel or mandarin or clementine. As long as the color of the peel is orange, that's really all that matters here. It's very acrid and drying. And so we'll take maybe 3 grams is about maybe 3 square inches. And this, because that's about 1/8 of an inch thick, you can think of ginger in about the same way, and similar amounts. What you want to do with this is you want to take 2 cups of water and you want to simmer the tangerine peel for about 20 minutes. You take that off the heat, add the fresh ginger and a little bit of honey to taste, let that cool with a lid on it until it is cool enough to drink. And then shake the drops back off from the lid again, and you can sip this as needed. For nausea, vomiting, and hiccup, this is really just sip it slowly. If nausea is not the problem, you can down it a little bit more quickly than this. But for people who are feeling nauseous, you're just going to want to sip this lightly, and it will really do a very good job of bringing that under control. Like I say, it's also good for cough, especially with profuse watery sputum. This is my contact information and a little bit about me. If you have questions or comments, you can certainly send them along to my email address, or you can call or text me at the phone number on the screen. I do herbal consultation by phone, by Skype. And I look forward to speaking to you about herbs again. Thank you very much, folks.